I think, Brandon, if you could just do the intro for it.
Sure.
Lead us in, and then Matt will add on.
Sure.
All right. Well, Matt, so I don't know if you know what this is, but this is a Nintendo Entertainment System cartridge.
It's gold.
Yeah, it is gold. Actually, there are more gold Zelda cartridges than there are when they reprinted them in the normal gray later on in its lifetime. They have these security screws on them, but for like $4 on eBay, you can get a screwdriver that has the right head for it, so we can just pull the backs off of here.
Whoa, we're going to void the warranty.
Yeah, we are going to void the warranty. Do you think the warranty lasted, let's see, 1985? It's almost 20 years? Or is it, wait, I'm bad at math. It's almost 30 years,
I'm
right?
sure it's still there.
These, the American cartridges crack me up because they redesigned the NES so that it looked more like a VCR for the American markets. And because the Famicom looked too much like a console, and the console industry in the States had kind of died with the Atari thing, and so they were trying to distance themselves from it. But it's still just like normal Famicom cartridges inside, so the actual boards are super tiny. There's all that wasted
So it's
space.
mostly plastic.
Yeah, just to make it look fancy. There's a little cartridge.
Nice. And this one has a battery, which is
Yeah, it's battery back for this.
which is nice. So I guess, can you ever replace the battery?
Yeah, I mean, if you have one of these security screws, you can just, I think that's just a normal 3-volt, like, little clock battery. But yeah, so let's see. We can look at all of the pins and stuff coming off of here. So let me grab. The NES actually plugs into all of these. When you socket it into the slot and you push it down, it has these connectors that run to these different chips here. And there are up to 72 pins on these, and you need them for different things. We can just describe all the chips. So that's that battery that you were talking about. This is the MMC1. This is a mapper chip. And it was really interesting that it was, I don't know if this was common in earlier consoles or not, but Nintendo had some foresight and designed a mechanism where inside the cartridge they could put a chip that allowed them to use bigger ROM banks than the early games supported. And the MMC1 is one of the early ones of those that expanded the capacity of like storage that the programs would have access to. This right here, this is the security chip. This is the thing that tells the console that this is legitimate. And over here we've got our two ROMs. So they should be labeled. So this is PRG. So this is the program ROM. This is the thing that contains all of the source code for the game. And that makes this one the char ROM. Or actually on this cartridge it looks like it's a char RAM chip. So this is random access memory that the game can write to at runtime, which will make it a little bit harder to hack if we run into any issues with that. The two that we want to pull off are these two, so that we can grab them and start messing with them. So if you would do the honors of desoldering all of these chips so that we can put them into our EEPROM writer.
So I'll pull off this PRG chip first. Luckily I have a desoldering iron here with a very short cable.
Convenient.
Yeah.
Is it going to reach far enough?
Yeah, it should be fine. Okay, so let's just dive in. I try to heat it up and then suck it up as much as I can. So the tip of this is really hot, actually. And this is basically a soldering iron at the tip, and then there's a vacuum that sucks the solder into this chamber that's in here, and this fills up with the old solder from the 1980s. So I'm sure is environmentally safe. If anybody's interested, this is a Hako 808 desoldering iron. I think it's the best you can get for a hobbyist.
Awesome.
Cool. Looks like I didn't destroy the pins in the process. So
cool.
That's good.
Should have no problem connecting it then.
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and...
While you're getting that other chip off, I will start to rip it.
Yeah, so this is the GQ4X EEPROM programmer, and so we can use this to rip the ROM and then also to reprogram these EEPROMs.
So this is a ROM, and ROM stands for read-only memory, and basically it's a bunch of storage that contains the source code for the game, which doesn't change at runtime. The console just boots it up and reads it and runs the program. And these are made at a manufacturer, and we can't modify, we can't make any changes directly to this chip. But a common alternative is to use these EEPROMs. So PROM stands for programmable read-only memory, meaning that you can write to it. EEPROM stands for erasable programmable read-only memory. And what that means is there's this little window at the top that you can shine a UV light on, and when this is saturated with UV light, all of the zeros and ones turn to just ones, and then you can program anything back down to a 0 that you need to be, giving you the ability to make something that's a drop-in replacement for a normal ROM. So what we're going to do is we're going to read this ROM and copy all of its contents, and then make any modifications that we want to, and we're going to reprogram it onto this EEPROM and be able to socket it right back in place, and it'll function just like this ROM, but with our modifications.
So this is an EEPROM eraser, and it's like an easy bake oven for chips, kind of. And so we'll send it for about 15 minutes. And what that'll do, you see there's a light going on in there. There's a UV light, and that shines into the window and will erase these things completely. So let that go while I'm doing the rest of this.
I'm going to go ahead and rip this ROM while you're taking that other one out.
All right, to make things easy, we're going to use this 28-pin socket that we'll install on the board, and then it'll easily allow us to install the EEPROM chip. So we'll orient it so pin 1 is lined up. I'm going to put this into place. Cool. All right, so I'll just solder this into place. I have my soldering iron at 650 degrees Fahrenheit, which is usually what I like to solder at. I'm using 60-40 solder. The way I solder and maybe other people have their own techniques, is I like to heat up the pin first, and then just add just a little bit of solder. That's it. Just enough so it starts pooling around the pin, and then let go. If you try to put solder on the actual soldering iron and then drop it to the pin, you'll get usually like a cold solder joint, and that's not going to be good in the long run because it'll crack based on, over time, even if it works initially. I'm sure inhaling the smoke is good, Brandon?
No.
Okay. I'm doing it anyways.
Are we going to have that same issue that we had the last time we did this, where the socket isn't going to fit back in the cartridge body?
Basically, I just need to cut out this whole region here.
Kids, don't do this.
Windowed.
Nice. You want to actually try putting one of these in the socket and seeing if it's got enough clearance?
Yeah, man. It might be difficult to get in and out of the little hole.
Give that a shot.
Success. Nice. Look at that. Hacker cart.
It's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
All right, sweet. Yeah, dude, that's nice. I like it. Definitely looks like a hacked Zelda cart.
I'm sorry, Zelda fans. We've destroyed the Legend of Zelda cart. But it's even better now, because now it has the EEPROM. It's like at the top. We could have just soldered it directly to the board, but what's the fun in that?